Yo, 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 it's Reggie Watkins, a.k.a. Sergeant Lawrence Sims from Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm chilling with Elias from the Man Cave Chronicles podcast. Check out the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal.
You're my boy, Blue. Yo, Adrian.
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
TV.
Nice.
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies.
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Reggie, welcome to the cave.
Thank you for having me, sir.
How are you, man? What's new with you?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic. What's new is it's cold in LA.
You're the second person that's told me that. I'm out from the East Coast. I'm in Massachusetts. We're actually been having like great weather all of a sudden.
Oh man, this is insane. Like my wife is from Canada, and so whenever I complain about how cold it is here, all I get is side eyes and eye rolls.
There you go, man. How did the whole quarantine treat you?
Quarantine was actually okay for me. I do a lot of voiceover work, and a lot of voiceover work picked up because we weren't able to be in person. And fortunately, I was, nobody in my family was affected by the coronavirus or, suffered any crazy fate from it. But I felt like, anytime there's something that happens like this, it gives people a chance to get closer and, reassess their lives. So I felt like it was a nice pause on life and slowing down and really getting a chance to reacquaint with family and yourself a little bit. So pandemic was okay for me.
There you go, man. So you've been busy for the last years. When I was doing some research on you, man, you've done TV show appearances like Bosch, This Is Us, The Rookie, you have a football podcast.
Yeah.
And voiceover work, like you mentioned, and you got a video game everybody's all excited about, new Call of Duty coming out this week.
Yeah, just a little game.
So, man, you've been busy. I want the listeners to get to know a little bit more about you. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from San Jose, the Bay Area, man. I was born there and grew up until I was about 9. I moved to Colorado, and we went to Colorado because I went to go visit. We had family there. So I went to visit once when I was 8 years old, and me and my sister and my mom and my young brother, one of my mom's favorite movies is White Christmas. So we always wanted to have a white Christmas. We never had it living in California. We're like, we want to be in the snow. We want to go to the snow. So one year we went to the snow for Christmas to visit family. And we were like, we want to live here. Mom, this would be great. So she got a job in Colorado with, family out there. So we moved out there. And I discovered that you have to shovel the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that it just, we had a house and it turns out I had to shovel the snow. And I was the kid who always lost my gloves. And my mom wasn't trying to hear it. She wasn't going to do it. And my sister wasn't going to do it. So I was out there shoveling the snow, freezing. And after a year, I was ready to move back to California. And we did move back to California when I was 12 years old.
What made your family move back to California?
It was just time. Like we had, other job opportunities here. My father was back from the military and, he was overseas. And so we went and we came back to San Jose, and I went to middle school and high school there and got, my introduction into theater arts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So growing up as a kid, what were you into?
Man, I was into football, TV, movies, and girls. That was my whole thing. Like growing up, that's all I wanted to do was be on TV, playing football, and have girlfriends. That's all I ever thought about when I was younger. I've led a life that way.
How old were you when you kind of had an idea you wanted to get into like the entertainment industry?
I want to say I was about 7 years old when I first really remember thinking the first thing that ever made me think about film different than like most of my friends or anybody around me. I don't know if you remember the movie Commando.
Oh yeah. Arnold. Yeah.
Okay. So Commando, I think it's 85. It comes out, right? Alyssa Milano. And that was one of the girls I used to love. And so there's a scene where they're driving, like they're coming from an airport or something, and there's a guy driving a yellow Porsche and Arnold's driving some other car, and they're like ramming into each other and chasing on the freeway. And this yellow Porsche keeps driving, but every now and then, after it's getting dented in, you see it dented in. There's some shots where it's brand new Porsche. And I was a kid, like, mesmerized, like, why is this car brand new after it keeps getting hit? And that just got me in love with filmmaking, editing, and wanting to know the magic of movies. And I never stopped from then on.
Wow. How old did you start taking acting classes at a young age? What was the plan?
No, you know what? I didn't. I took an acting class when I was not even an acting class. I just went and tried out for a play. It was called like The Courageous Lion or something. I was in Denver, Colorado when I was living in Denver. I was probably about 9 years old, and I saw this thing in the newspaper. I used to read the newspaper as a kid. Like, so I'm reading the newspaper and I'm going through like trying to find like theaters that I could audition for, because I mean, I thought I was a singer. And then I was scouring the newspapers trying to find any theater that was going to have like a kid show or something where I could audition for it. And I found this one in Denver, Colorado. And unfortunately, my sister wanted to be, she wanted to be an actress as well, but she just didn't have the chops for it. But nobody could tell her that. We had to go do the audition and get there. So we both go audition, and she doesn't get it, but I get it. And from there, I got an agent in Denver, Colorado. And then I was doing like little commercials out there and hosting a kids show. And that just really helped push the bug. But I never really had an acting class. It was just me being me.
Oh, wow. I did notice that when you moved back to LA, you also did stand-up comedy.
Yeah, man. I started doing stand-up comedy in San Francisco, in San Jose area. And then, I hit a ceiling there and moved to San Diego, where I worked at the world famous Comedy Store in La Jolla for a few years. And I was a doorman, and being there, I got to see, just great comics come through, Maz Drabani. I used to watch that guy all the time. Dane Cook would come through there, and I would just get inspired watching these guys perform. And Chappelle was through there once. You just watch and you're learning. And so I was the doorman, and being the doorman, they used to give me time. So every night I could get up there and do 5 minutes every night. And then they started letting me host my own shows. So I started putting together shows and producing shows. And then we go around the town and do all the shows that were in San Diego. And then we come to LA and do shows in LA. And then I got to LA and I met Dane's buddy, Jay Davis. He used to host a show out in LA a long time ago at a place called Dublin's. And it was like a free show in LA, the dopest show in LA, and standing room only. Dane Cook would headline it every night, and they'd have a list of comics. Chris Rock would drop in, Seinfeld, Michael Richards. Everybody would just stop in here and do some time and hang out. And wow. I found a way to get on that show a couple of times, and that was the highlight of my comedy career. But I just wasn't a comic. I really loved acting. I only did comedy as a way to get seen and get agents.
Have you ever thought about like jumping back into it?
Hell no.
No?
No. Like, I mean, I still, I talk trash to my friends and clown them, and I still go to the shows, and I just played poker last night with some comics and took all their money. But I still am around the world a little bit, but being up on that stage is not for me. I mean, it's a lonely place, especially if being out there with comics. These guys are, it gets dark.
So what was one of your first gigs that you got once you moved out to LA for TV? Man,
my first ever job that actually paid, a SAG job. I'm sure you're familiar with the game. You get the Screen Actors Guild, right? So it's 2008. My first job was a Bud Light commercial that I got edited out of. So you have to understand, like, your first job, you think that this is about to be like, you're about to be rich. You're about to be a star. This is it. You can't tell me that I'm not the next Will Smith, right? So I booked this Bud Light commercial, and it's a really dope commercial. It was like a take on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Okay. And it used to be, remember when they have the Bud Light commercials, and it was like, let's go. And so this alien spaceship comes to Earth, and there's these like sexy alien ladies. They come down and they're like, we need to take the men of your species to schmeplicate for our planet. And they say, we brought you this Bud Light in return, right? And so I'm like a soldier and I'm there. And so we're shooting the thing and I'm a soldier and I got all my gear on. I got my hat and everything. We go to lunch. I come back from lunch and I forgot to put my hat back on, my helmet back on. So we're shooting the second half and no wardrobe told me, nobody came and said nobody came and told me anything. So we get done shooting. I get in the car and I'm like, I forgot my helmet the whole second half of that. The continuity's not going to work. They're not going to be able to use me. And for sure, I got a letter 2 months later. Hey, you were cut out of the commercial. Here's a consolation check. And that was it. That was my first introduction into Hollywood. Thought I was going to get something big. And then I got nothing out of that. But my second job, let me tell you about the second job. Second job, I got to work with the late Chadwick Boseman. And that was on a show called Lincoln Heights. And it was my first time really being on TV with anybody. And I worked with Russell Hornsby and Chadwick Boseman. And Chad was, still young in LA, hadn't blown up or anything like that yet, but he was just such a cool dude and so different. Like we're sitting there on the set and this guy's the same age as me, basically. Right. And he's talking to me and to the director while we're in the break. And he's like, yeah, I got these like 4 scripts I'm really trying to work on. So I want you to take a look at them. I'm like, this guy's got 4 scripts. I'm going out drinking at night and hanging out. Like, I'm glad to be on. What is this guy doing? Yeah. And it really helped shape the way that, I thought about this game going forward. Like you just got to be always trying to keep moving forward and doing something. And he was just a different cat. He came out to drink with us one time after we shot that show. And he was in there and, we're all trying to talk to girls. This dude's talking to me about making movies. I'm like, bro, give it a rest. But he was a really cool cat, man. Really cool dude. It was dope to have worked on that with him.
So how did you get involved with voiceover work?
Voiceover work. Well, I did. I used to do these Honda commercials. I don't know if you've seen them. Like Honda does this thing called the summer clearance event every year, right? And so for about 3 years, I was one of their dealers for the summer clearance events. And every year they had me do their radio commercials for it. So I would do the TV and then I'd also be the one dealer who got to do the radio spots. And from then I had at my commercial agency, they had a voiceover desk. And so they knew that I was doing voiceover commercials for Honda, and they're like, "Hey, we'll just sign you through for voiceover too, and we'll do some auditions." And then I just started I just show up to the booth and I talk and sound like myself. And I was booking some commercials. I was doing Jack in the Box. I was the voice of AT&T for about 2 years, and just kept on doing that. And I'm still doing it to this day.
Awesome. That's got to be fun now. We're talking about Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, man. How awesome was it doing a project like that?
Oh, man, this was like amazing. Plus, because I didn't know what it was when I got it, me and a buddy of mine who always does military and police stuff. We both auditioned for like a private kind of soldier type thing. And maybe like 2 weeks later, he calls me. He's like, "Yo, I got that thing. It's Call of Duty." And I was like, "Oh, damn it. Maybe that's the same thing. We probably went in for the same thing." And it turned out he was in last year's Call of Duty. And then I was in this one. And I'm a major character. He was a ancillary character that just came on towards the end with just doing his voice. But for me, they brought me in and they made the character, my face, my likeness, I did a body scan. I had to do all these photos and tons of photo shoots, and then they used my voice, and it's just been an amazing ride, man.
Have you ever played these games before?
I've played the first Call of Duty, and then I've watched my son play all the Call of Duty since. I'm a fan of games. I'm just not a big gamer because I'm always just so busy doing other things.
Yeah. How excited is your son watching you in a video game?
Oh yeah, he's excited, but he's 16 too, so he's not like, "Oh, it's so dope." He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." And then But then when he's with his buddies, like his buddies will tell me like, yo, so I heard you're in like this game. They're all excited. But I know when he talks to his friends, he's excited, but he doesn't want to let me know he's like super excited about it.
So what's the process with like the whole, like the voicing a video game and like the face motion capturing?
Well, the process first, I mean, you get there and they've got all these, I mean, you've probably seen like the suits, and they put you a suit with all these little bubbles on you, these little dots, and they're just like, they're sensors so that these cameras can catch everything. And they're like cameras all over the place. There's like 1 million cameras on the Activision set in Marina Del Rey. And they're just catching every movement you make. You got dots on your face. And you got a camera on your face that's catching every movement your face makes. If you squint, if you know, the way you breathe in, the way you breathe out, you have to speak. You know, I had to do like a talk test where I said like 1,000 words, and I had to say the alphabet in different ways so they see every way your mouth moves, so they can they make it the realest possible filming that you can think of. Like, these characters have been through so much digital processing and so much real life action and talking and movement. It's just amazing. They actually flew us to Wisconsin for a week because we were hanging out with Raven Software, who is one of the developers of the game, along with Treyarch and Activision. They sent us up to Wisconsin for a week, and we did like weapons training, just learning how to walk and fall and tumble with guns and corner and enter rooms and leave the rooms and being a diamond together with your troops. It was really dope, man.
Wow. Were you able to do any stunts for the game?
No real stunts. Like, they have their stunt guys who do that. For us, it was a lot of it was just a lot of the scene work. You know, they want the best actors. If I say so myself, I'm pretty good. But they want like the best actors there who can deliver the lines and also, you know, be precise with movements and, you know, understand their body and how they move and how they interact with you know, other characters. So I feel like there's a lot of people that come to these video games from theater training as well.
So you play Sims. How do you describe that character in for a video game?
Well, Sims is sarcastic, he's pragmatic. He's kind of like I would say Woods is like the life of the party. Sims is the guy that comes in and talks trash about everybody, makes everybody laugh. He's the cool guy, chill, loves to have a good time, but also knows his stuff. And you know, he's there to get Perseus. Him and Russell Adler have been together for multiple missions, and you know, they've got the biggest bond out of all the characters in this new iteration. Adler and Sims have been together for years, and so you see that play out throughout the story.
How long did it take you to do the whole game?
The game, we started working on it last year. I want to say May. May was the first time I showed up, and I had to do like a facial scan. And so we were going from May until the game was supposed to come out October of this year, but they had to, you know, push it back a little bit because of COVID. But yeah, I started in May, and I just finished doing maybe my last voiceover for it maybe 3 weeks ago.
What do you find? Did you find this easier than like regular acting?
No, it's hard. There's just so much more to do. You know, you've got to do your scenes. You got your scenes, and you've got to really know your stuff. I mean, you know, you can improvise a little bit, but you've got to really know your lines, and you've got to be able to not be afraid to jump in there and take over this character, because they're writing a framework for you, but you've got to be willing to jump in there and add to it and say, okay, no, this is how this guy is going to be, because these characters are bigger than life. So you've got to jump in there and do it. You know, when you're doing a television show or a film, you kind of know the parameters of what you're doing, and you know the medium, if you can be big or you can be small. This is a video game. You got to be a little bigger. You got to, you know, project. You've got to walk not like you normally would. You're a superhero, kind of like a soldier. So you've got to bring all that bravado to it. And then you got to do the voiceovers, and then the voiceovers are taxing because sometimes you're yelling for hours at a time, and at imaginary stuff. It's just, I have a newfound respect for Tom Cruise.
What was your favorite moment for this project?
Oh man, my favorite moment. Well, my favorite moment was when we were in Wisconsin. And this wasn't even, we were just hanging out with the guys, where we're doing the game. We were in Wisconsin and we go to this restaurant to have dinner. And the guy who plays Woods, Damon Allen, we go in and we're just hanging out at the bar and we're, getting something to eat. And this guy comes in, he's like, "Hey, you guys got to try this cheese." We're like, "What?" And so he had met some guy who was selling cheese out of his trunk, like right on the corner in Madison, Wisconsin. This guy was just selling cheese, and he brought the cheese in. And so we're at this bar eating trunk cheese and crackers and beer. It was just the best time, man. I had a great time working with these cats, and it was just a phenomenal time.
So the game comes out Friday, November 13th. How excited are you?
I'm excited, man. I've this is the first time that I've ever, I've always wanted to be in a video game. When I was a kid, one of my dreams was to be in a video game. And here I am as an adult, and it actually happened. And it's actually me in the video game. I'm so excited, just over the moon to see what's going to happen and, see where this takes my career.
Would you do another game down the road?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'd love to do another game and get involved in this world. It's just it's just fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. I mentioned you also have a podcast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do a podcast called the Brothas On Football. And that is just me and three other cats talking about football. It's brothers, Brothas, so some black dudes. And we're talking about football and, our perspective on it and what we think. And it's a good show. You should check it out. It's on the podcast network, digital podcast network, Brothas On Football.
What's your favorite team, Reggie?
I am a 49er fan. And a
little rough this year, huh?
Not too good this year. Yeah, we got to get rid of the quarterback. That's the nature of the game. If you don't got a quarterback, you don't got a team.
Yeah, you're right about that. And who knows? He'll probably be back on the Patriots. Those were the rumors.
Good riddance.
I don't. I'm a Patriots fan. I don't know if I want him back.
Oh man, yeah. We could trade. I'd rather have Cam Newton than Garoppolo right now. Lord.
So, man, what's next for you now after all these projects that you've just done? Any other ones you can tell us about?
Well, no, I got a few things coming, but there's NDAs that are signed, so I really can't say much. But got a movie that should be coming out in the next year, and we'll see if people are still able to go to movies. Yeah, got some things coming on the horizon. Really excited about this year. It's been a good year.
When you're not working, what do you enjoy doing?
I love coaching actors. I also coach actors. It's just fun for me. It keeps me sharp. I love reading scripts and breaking them down and helping people book jobs. It's so fun to watch, another actor break through and get a gig and, or do an audition and they finally figure out like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be thinking about or how I'm supposed to interpret this. And it's just fun to be a part of that process with people. Other than that, I love traveling with my wife and, hanging out with my son and trying to get his grades to where they need to be. He's 16 and he's really doing all of the 16.
Playing video games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
All right, you can find me on social media if you go to Instagram at Coach with Reg, CoachWithreg at Coach with Reg on Instagram. On Twitter, I am at Reggie Watkins Jr. I talk a lot of trash on Twitter, so don't at me, bro.
Reggie, this was fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap, everybody. That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
I finally get my man cave.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the MCC Podcast and our website, themccpodcast.com. Until next time.